Merci beaucoup. Good morning, everyone. Bon matin à tous. Bienvenue à Orléans. It is a pleasure to be here as the Member of Parliament for the great riding of Orléans. And I want to thank the Rosedale Group for welcoming us to their brand new facility that just opened last March. As we know, March marked the beginning of a new page in our history with the start of the pandemic. Notre gouvernement a agi rapidement pour assurer le bien-être de l'ensemble des Canadiens et Canadiennes. Frontline workers across every sector of Canada's workforce has been instrumental throughout the pandemic, and that includes our truckers. Thanks to your hard work and unwavering dedication under such challenging circumstances, food, medication, countless other essential goods were moved across our country to keep Canadians safe and healthy. Je suis donc particulièrement fière d'être parmi vous ce matin, accompagnée de mon collègue, le ministre des Transports, pour cette importante annonce. I would now like to invite my colleague, Minister of Transport, the Honourable Marc Garneau, to tell you about this great announcement. Merci.
Alors, bonjour tout le monde. Merci, Marie-France. Un plaisir d'être dans ton comté d'Orléans. And thank you very much to the Rosedale Transport Company for making their premises available for this morning's announcement. So, good morning. I'm very pleased to be here today. First and foremost, on behalf of the Canadian government, I would like to express our gratitude to all those who work in the Canadian trucking industry. This year, more than ever, you've been on the front lines. You have kept our country going, moving food, medications, and so many other essential goods that keep Canadians safe and healthy. For drivers, that represents very long hours of work spent traveling back and forth across the country between Canada and the United States as well as long hours spent supplying grocery stores and Canadian businesses with food and essential merchandise. Au profit des Canadiens, vous avez sacrifié des heures qui sont normalement allouées aux membres de votre famille et de vos proches. Votre ardeur au travail en ces temps difficiles nous rend tous très fiers de vous. Today, I'm proud to announce on behalf of the Minister of National Revenue, Diane Leboutillier, that the Canada Revenue Agency has increased the fixed rate used to calculate meal expenses or the meal portion of a travel allowance. In all cases, the amount has gone from $17 to $23 per meal. These increases are effective immediately and are retroactive to January the 1st, 2020. These increased meal allowance rates will ensure the truckers and other essential workers can access affordable meals as they travel long distances transporting critical goods and supplies. J'aimerais souligner que cette nouvelle de l'Agence s'inscrit dans le cadre de sa philosophie des gens d'abord, qui consiste à placer les Canadiens au centre de tout ce qu'on fait. This measure is especially important in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has changed the day-to-day lives of truck drivers, giving them fewer affordable and healthy meal options while on the road. By increasing the meal allowance, we are responding to these concerns and recognizing the extraordinary efforts of truck drivers over these past months. I would like also to recognize the important leadership role that associations and stakeholder groups have played during the COVID-19 pandemic. Partners like the Canadian Trucking Alliance, Private Motor Council, Truck Council, and unions such as the Teamsters have stood shoulder to shoulder with Transport Canada to weather these unprecedented times. Today's announcement is another way our government is supporting those who are working so hard to keep our supply chains moving. So thank you very much, and I would now like to introduce from the Canadian Trucking Alliance, the President and my friend, Stephen Laskowski. Stephen.
Thank you very much, Minister Garneau. The pandemic has been a challenge for all of us. It's been a challenge on multiple fronts, no matter what walk of life you come from. And some of the simplest things, like resting and eating, has been a challenge for our sector. Education campaigns were put underway, and as Minister Garneau mentioned, the Canadian Trucking Alliance, working shoulder to shoulder with Transport Canada and other divisions within the Government of Canada, have worked to address these issues. And it became very apparent to us that this was not going to be resolved, this issue, without strong partnership and commitment from the Government of Canada. And that's what we've received throughout this crisis and what is symbolized today with today's announcement from Minister Garneau. Drivers have faced 100 to 300% increases in such things as water and food on the road. Today's announcement is a significant measure and a commitment by the Government of Canada and an investment in the supply chain in our industry. We thank Minister Garneau and the Cabinet and his team with regards to all the support that we've received throughout this crisis, and in particular for today's announcement. It's applauded by CTA and the thousands of hardworking men and women who are moving Canada's economy. Thank you very much, Minister Garneau, and to the Government of Canada.
We are now ready for questions. If you don't mind telling us your media outlet, and one question, one follow-up question. Nous sommes prêts pour vos questions, une question par rapport à l'événement et une question de suivi, s'il vous plaît.
My question is for Minister Garneau. Travelers with COVID-19 are entering Canada every day through the airlines, and data show that police forces are rarely issuing any type of warning or charge under the Quarantine Act. I'm just wondering why the government isn't doing more to ensure that COVID-19 is not getting into the country through airlines in general and through foreign travelers.
Well, in fact, we have taken a very serious and layered approach with respect to trying to ensure that we don't bring COVID-19 into the country. Those measures include when somebody is traveling from abroad, mostly Canadians coming back to Canada, screening questions, temperature measurements, the fact that they must wear masks, the fact that the airlines themselves have taken some very strong measures with respect to cleaning and disinfecting the airplanes, the way the ventilation system is designed on board the aircraft, the use of HEPA filters, the very rapid recycling of the air within minutes, much faster than in a hospital, for example. All of those are measures that are designed to minimize the possibility of bringing anybody who's infected into the country and them transmitting it while they're on the aircraft. We've also announced the flight plan for navigating COVID-19, which is our long-term measures, which touches not only the airlines but also the airports, to essentially, in the long run, make it a contactless experience when you go into an airport. So we are taking a very serious approach to trying to minimize the possibility that somebody can infect somebody else.
And I also know that Transport Canada has been in discussion with major airlines to potentially look at ways to use COVID-19 testing instead of a 14-day quarantine. I'm just wondering when that testing capacity will be in place and how those discussions are going.
So we're always assessing how we can return to normal, but in a safe and prudent way while minimizing risk. And one of the things that has been looked at and is being looked at, and I commend the airlines and the airports, for example, WestJet and the Vancouver airport, as well as Air Canada at the Pearson airport, are looking at a possibility of doing testing. We will have to obviously make sure, and these are pilot projects, to examine the feasibility of it. which may in the long run be able to allow us to reduce the amount of time that you would otherwise have to spend in quarantine. We have to make sure that those processes are going to be safe, that the testing itself has a high reliability, those kinds of things. But it is worth looking at these things as part of our desire to return to normal, but in a safe way.
And on this announcement, I don't know anything about how CRA operates, so I apologize if it's wrong at the beginning.
It's okay.
One, do you have any idea how many people will benefit from this change? And two, is this increase something that the government of Canada pays for, covers, or is that up to the employer?
So it is something that the government is doing. Essentially, you can think of it as a tax credit, because a meal allowance which is provided to truckers when they're on the road doesn't have to be declared as part of their income. It's one of the benefits that occurs. And here we've increased it from $17 to $23 per meal. So it's very important for the trucking industry, which has been making enormous sacrifices in these past few months. So in a sense, it's deferred tax income that would come to the government otherwise, but is very, very much deserved by our truckers. In terms of the number of people, I will turn to Steve on this, because he knows the size of the trucking industry better than I do.
So in terms of the basic numbers themselves, truck driving, the occupation of trucking driving, is the largest occupation for Canadian males. So this measure has a significant impact and a significant benefit to thousands of Canadians.
And if I can, I have one more question for Minister Garneau.
Okay.
There was some issues yesterday with the CRA for payments getting through on a timely manner. I'm wondering if you know whether CRA is taking any additional measures to protect CERB recipients to make sure that they're getting the funds at the right time when they're supposed to come out within 1 to 3 days.
So I can't specifically answer your question. Obviously, the things that you mentioned are things that we'd like to be able to do, but I will ask you to speak to the CRA specifically on that. Any more questions? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Well, thank you very much for your interest in coming this morning for this, what we consider to be a very important announcement, and one that I think is well received. Thank you.